Our artisans, they need to do 4 years of training to be able to manufacture a Kelly bag. This that you've just seen, the perlage, you need to be very skilled and very, very good.
What if your $60,000 Hermès bag was mostly made in China? A leaked exposé just blew the lid off luxury's biggest lie, and Hermès is panicking.
Touches on a Kelly, the most difficult bag to build. It starts with 30 distinct cuts of leather and can take 20 hours to complete, 4 hours for just the handle. There are no manuals or cheat sheets.
Hermès built an empire on exclusivity, crafted elegance, French prestige, and the idea that every Birkin or Kelly bag is hand-stitched by elite French artisans trained for years. Their marketing paints a romantic picture. One artisan, 20-plus hours of meticulous work, flawless stitching, and buttery leather sourced from the finest tanneries in Europe. You're probably picturing a candlelit Parisian workshop, right? Let's snap back to reality. That handcrafted in France tag? It's sacred in the luxury world, but leaked evidence just blew the lid off that illusion. Turns out, up to 80% of the actual production happens in China, in factories like Satan Handbag Limited in Guangdong. From leather cutting to major stitching work, these bags are built far from the charming French ateliers we imagine. Once the bags are semi-finished, they're shipped to France for minor final touches, like adding a clasp or a stamp. You're looking at Satan Handbag Limited in China, not a cozy Parisian atelier, but this is where your dream bag is born. That's it.
Put out a response to China, and they have like a video in a factory sort of showing people trying to show that they're actually the ones who are making the bags in a factory somewhere in France.
Yet, thanks to a legal loophole, Hermès is still allowed to slap the coveted Made in France label on them. It's like assembling a puzzle abroad, placing the last piece in France, and calling it French craftsmanship. Minor touches in France, major build in China, yet they still slap that Made in France label on like it's gospel. Wild, right? Technically legal, but ethically highly questionable. This is not just about Hermès, it's a glimpse into a much bigger problem in luxury branding.
Most expensive fake bag I've ever seen. A counterfeit Birkin. Our dream of dissecting a real Birkin not happening anytime soon. But my friends at Real had a surprise. They caught a really convincing replica trying to slip through their platform. Of course, they confiscated it and they said, "Want to take a closer look?" And I said, "No, I'm not interested." Just kidding. Hell yeah, I jumped into it. Their summer installation on Canal Street in New York City showcased the super fakes they caught during their authentication process. So here is what we found as I literally went through that fake Birkin.
Enter Tanner Leatherstein, a leather craftsman and TikTok sensation who's made a career out of dissecting high-end leather goods. And what he found inside a Hermes Birkin bag was jaw-dropping. Using razor blades and industry-grade tools, Tanner deconstructed a real Birkin bag and estimated its actual production cost to be around $600, including leather, labor, and finishing. This is where it gets crazy. Tanner took a razor blade to the Birkin, and what he found was insane. Yes, $600, not $6,000, and not $60,000, which is what some buyers fork over on the resale market. So, yeah, you just paid $60,000 for something that costs $600 to make, and includes materials found in $100 dupes. Let that sink in. But that wasn't even the worst part. He found some materials weren't even the premium calfskin Hermès claims. Parts of the bag had a PU polyurethane coating, a synthetic layer used in cheap bags to mimic leather softness. That's right, what you thought was luxurious leather might just be dressed up plastic. Even more shocking, Tanner says the leather quality is comparable to $100 dupes sold online. For a brand that prides itself on uncompromising quality, this was a brutal takedown. And guess what? Hermès isn't alone. Chanel, Louis Vuitton, Dior, many luxury brands use similar tricks. Outsourced labor, inflated pricing, and marketing smoke and mirrors. You're not buying a product, you're buying a story, an expensive one.
Take a Birkin bag, for example. Video claims that a bag is made in China. How much does Hermes sell it for? $38,000.
So what does Hermès do when the truth starts leaking? They go straight into panic mode and their weapon of choice, lawsuits. Hermès is now suing the same Chinese manufacturers who once worked under contract with them, accusing them of defamation and intellectual property misuse. Imagine outsourcing your luxury bags to a Chinese factory, then suing them for telling people you did. That's right, the very factories they quietly relied on for years are now being dragged into court. But here's the kicker. These manufacturers didn't breach a contract. They just told the truth. They exposed how bags marketed as French-made were mostly stitched in China. And now, Hermes wants them silenced before this becomes a full-blown consumer trust meltdown. And what happens when the truth hits TikTok? Viral chaos. But it's too late. The leaks are already viral, with millions of views on TikTok and Instagram, videos showing factory workers stitching Birkins, influencers reacting in disbelief, and luxury critics calling Hermes out. It's everywhere, and it's not stopping. This legal move doesn't scream confidence. It screams damage control. And with the internet holding the receipts, Hermes may be fighting a battle it's already lost.
And I did this all custom so they all could have like a little home and be lit up really pretty. My favorite row definitely would have to be the Hermes row, and I have been collecting these bags for a minute. They're also a great investment. This one here is really special. If my house was on fire, I would take this one out of all of them if I could only choose one. The one that I think is like the most unique and cool is definitely the Dalmatian.
But let's talk about how this illusion stayed alive for so long. Enter the hype machine, celebrities and influencers. From Kylie Jenner's rainbow Birkin closet to Cardi B's handbag collection worth millions, celebs have flaunted Hermes for years. But what most people don't know is, many of these bags are gifted or offered through paid promotions. It's not just the red carpet crowd. Influencers flood social media with unboxing videos, showing off pristine Hermes packaging and talking about the luxury experience. But here's the twist. Many of them receive PR freebies, or worse, don't even own the real thing. Some stylists are now using high-end dupes with no logos, tagging them as real Hermes just to get views. Viewers believe it, the algorithm pushes it, and the myth spreads effortlessly. This isn't just marketing, it's a full-blown illusion machine designed to sell you status, not quality.
The son of Zeus was imagined with winged sandals and a winged hat, symbols of his celebrated speed. Today, the French fashion house Hermès, that shares his name, is also known for its accessories. Elegant scarves, ties, and handbags, all meticulously made, but at a glacial pace.
So why are people still paying 5 figures for a bag? Because Hermes made it feel like a secret club. To even be offered a Birkin, you can't just walk in and buy one. First, you've got to build a purchase history. Buy scarves, shoes, jewelry, and maybe a few other bags. Only then, maybe, the store offers you a Birkin, like it's some sacred honor. It's called artificial scarcity, and it's genius, until it's not. Now that the production scandal has exploded into public view, the resale values of Hermes bags are crashing hard. Secondary market platforms, where Birkin bags once sold for double or even triple their retail price, are now flooded with listings, facing steep markdowns. Collectors and fashion investors who once saw these bags as recession-proof luxury assets are watching their portfolios shrink. What was once hailed as a smart investment is now revealing itself as a glossy illusion, a luxury trap built on branding, not craftsmanship. Buyers are waking up to a harsh truth. They dropped $60,000 on a status symbol that might have been stitched together in the same Chinese factory as a $200 counterfeit. The allure of heritage and exclusivity doesn't feel so powerful when the supply chain is shared with mass-produced replicas. That elite clout, it's evaporating. And for those banking on the Birkin's untouchable mystique to hold or grow their value, it's officially panic season. The bag that once symbolized timeless prestige is now at the center of a collapsing luxury myth.
Some of Hermes products are made in China. Towels are from Fuyue in Shandong. They also make products for Chanel and IKEA. Beddings are from Yue in Shandong. Men's shoes are from Shachi in Shandong. Tableware are from Gaochun in Jiangsu.
It was my first time shopping at Hermes, and let me tell you how it went. We got a lot of requests, do Hermes next. And that's why we're here in the Highland Park Mall. Made in Italy. Made in China, or maybe made in Chile. Oh yeah, that should be a thing, by the way, because some brands get real creative when it comes to made in.
For decades, luxury brands pushed a simple message: made in France equals elite craftsmanship, while made in China screams cheap and fake. But that narrative is cracking, and fast. Here's the reality. The same Chinese factories that produce $5 UGG dupes and IKEA bedding are also crafting real Hermes bags, Louis Vuitton purses, and Chanel wallets. The only thing that changes, the logo is stitched on at the end. These factories are not knockoff shops. They're highly skilled, fast, and precise. And in many cases, their quality matches or even exceeds what's coming out of Western workshops. So why the stigma? It's Western bias, a long-standing belief that quality is exclusive to Europe. But today's consumers are smarter. They're starting to ask, if my $60,000 bag was made in the same place as a $60 dupe, is it still luxury? The answer? Not so black and white anymore. The label doesn't define quality, the craftsmanship does. And China's got plenty of it, even if brands don't want you to know. So what now? Hermes is staring down a storm with $15.2 billion in revenue tied to its image of exclusivity and French artistry. This scandal is more than embarrassing. It's potentially devastating. If consumers stop believing in the French craftsmanship myth, the whole luxury house of cards could start collapsing. And Hermes won't be alone. Chanel, Louis Vuitton, Dior, they all walk the same tightrope. Hidden outsourcing, inflated prices, romanticized marketing. The second the illusion breaks, trust and revenue could vanish. We're already seeing the effects. Younger buyers, especially Gen Z, are less brand loyal and more transparency focused. They care about where, how, and by whom things are made. They don't want to be sold a fantasy. They want the truth. Luxury brands now face two choices: open up, be honest about production, and prove their value with real craftsmanship, or keep spinning the same story until it all comes crashing down. Because let's face it, if your luxury brand depends on secrecy and smoke, it might not be that luxurious after all. So, should you still buy a Birkin? If you value status over substance, maybe. But many dupes are made in the same factories, without the luxury markup. Hermès' secret is out, prices are crashing, and buyers are waking up. The illusion's broken. Birkin or bust? Drop a comment and subscribe.